Hey everybody, welcome back again to the series How to Draw with me, your host, Aaron. This is episode 5. We're going to draw some female torsos this time, and we're going to learn about the female torso. Again, this is going to be a series. This is a series on really what I'm doing with this is I'm going through all the different body parts, and we're going to just do it in simple shapes. And that's going to be before I start adding the muscles. Um, so anyway, I'm just writing some stuff here about female torsos. Um, Women are curvier and softer than men. I do not like drawing muscles on female figures. I actually kind of hate it. It's okay to draw the abs, but for the most part, don't draw the muscles. So we're gonna start with the female torso. This is basically the shape of a torso for a female. It's an hourglass. If you can get this shape down, you'll be able to draw some really nice looking women and or female torsos anyway. So it's basically just I break this down even further a little bit here. It's basically just two shapes on top of each other. So that's the first one, and then you just draw the reverse of that on the bottom. Again, we went over male torsos in the last video, and honestly, like I said, there's so many different ways to draw the torso. This is what works for me, and there's academically. I wouldn't say that this is an academically correct way to do it, but this is what works for me. This is the best method I use, or this is the best method I kind of discovered. Again, I found this actually on Pinterest. It was just a drawing on Pinterest. It wasn't even explained. Somebody just drew, not recently, this was years ago. Somebody just drew this hourglass shape, and I said, that looks so good. And it's such a simple shape. And so that's why this is the way I'm teaching you how to draw the torso, because this is the way I like to do it. It's the easiest way for me. So here's the 3/4 view from the other side. Really what you're doing to get a 3/4 shot is you have to angle your lines. Basically, you have to kind of envision that it's going back in space, and then angle each line, like your shoulder line and then your waistline. You have to angle it in the exact same direction for it to look like it's going back in space. And then technically, once it's turning away from you, you'll actually see less of one side. So it gets more complicated than what we're drawing here. But here I'm saying practice this shape over and over. We're going to build the rest of the torso on top of this. I'm saying here you can draw it bent. You can draw the torso bending by drawing. If you want it to bend to one side or the other, you can draw it by curving one of the sides of the torso. and then by squashing the other side. So that's another method I learned a long time ago. It's called squash and stretch. I don't know how academic it is. I don't know who made it up, but it's essentially what we're doing here. You're curving one line on one side to make it look stretched, and then pinching the other side to make it look like it's pinching. And this is really a good way to draw figures like standing there. Like if you do fashion design or something, this would be a good shape to learn for your figures standing, because standing straight on is a little bit boring, so you just want to maybe try doing like a 3/4 shot if you're going to have them standing there. This is a good shape to use if you want them standing, especially maybe for a fashion model. And also remember too, wherever you put your center line, that's the direction it's going to be facing. And then again, it gets complicated. The shape will change based on the direction it's facing, so you might have to draw it differently. But here it's basically bending, kind of looks like it's bending backwards, but depending on where you put the arm, it could look like it's bending forward, bending to the side. And then I'm drawing some arrows there to show you the direction that it goes. This is kind of, that shape that I just drew is similar to the bean shape that everybody teaches. I don't get into the bean shape drawing it. Maybe I just haven't drawn it enough, but for me the bean shape just doesn't really work. I think it's one of those things where I haven't drawn it enough. Here we're just doing it again. We're going to do it multiple times. We're going to do the straight on shot multiple times just to get it down. Again, it's basically an hourglass. And then the other thing that I think I'll mention later is the shoulders are actually not as wide as the male torso. So on a female, your shoulders are skinnier and your waist is wider. Your hips are wider. And you want to make sure you're drawing that. So this is the basic shape that I'm drawing. But if you want to make it look more feminine, you want to thin the top section, make it come in more so it's not so wide. But that's basically the shape that you're working with, is an hourglass. Females are an hourglass. Females are an hourglass. Guys are a triangle. We're going to do some more. Oh, we're adding the hips now. We're going to add the hips. So I'm doing a video all on hips, and we'll get into like the bone anatomy and stuff like that. But for this purpose of this video, I'll show you how to very, very easily draw the hip area of the female hourglass figure. It's very easy to get in, and there's the hip section. Oh, I guess you call it the crotch area. Hips, crotch, I don't know. So basically all you're going to want to do is cut off both corners of the bottom section, and 1, 2, instantly you've got something that looks like a hip shape. And here I'm making the upper torso a little, the upper part skinnier. There you go. You've got basically the the hip area, the loins as they call it. You've got the loins. So that's all you got to do. Cut those corners off, and all of a sudden it looks like the lower section. It's crazy how just a couple lines will change your entire drawing. I've learned that over the years, that just a few different lines will make everything change. So you really got to be careful of what lines you're drawing, because it can really make or break what you're trying to do. So again, I would draw this shape over and over and over just to get used to it. And then once you're used to it, you can start screwing around with it and changing it and bending it and moving it around. But again, purposes of this video series right now is just some of the basics, because these are very, very hard to learn and remember. And they're not necessarily hard to draw, but it's hard to remember sometimes. Even I still struggle with remembering, well, how did I draw that? I don't remember how I did that. I don't remember. So I'll have to look it up again. And but again, it can be hard just to do these. So just keep drawing it. Here what I'm doing is I'm showing you that you can draw the torso bending over, or bending forward, or depending on where you place the head. I think I wrote a note in here. Depending on where you place the head, that's going to show you the direction the torso is facing. This could be bending, leaning back, or it could be bending forward, either one. But I just drew the breast on the other side, and we're going to have her bending forward. So it's up to you. Which way do you want it facing? It's all up to you. Depending on where you draw certain things, it's going to look, is she going this way or is she going that way? Here, I think I'm doing another one here. Because I think I mentioned it in another video in a previous episode. The shape of the torso doesn't change depending on whether you're looking at it from the front or from the back. It's the same exact thing. So like if you took the silhouette of the torso, the female torso and the male torso, but the female torso for this video, if you took a silhouette shape and you flipped it back and forth, it would look exactly the same. A silhouette would be like you fill it in black and then flip it. It'd be the exact same on both sides. So you can decide which way you want your character facing, which way you want your female torso to be facing, just by making a few decisions. So we're going to do this one here, we're going to have her bending over, facing forward. So I'm taking another crack at that bending forward pose. So as you can see here, I'm struggling a little bit to get the neck to get the head on the neck. It can be a challenge even for me still to get everything to look right. And again, I'm thinking really hard about what is this supposed to look like based on what I already know about the figure. What does this look like? Instead of going to the picture, to the photo reference, I'm really thinking hard. And once you draw this stuff enough, you'll be able to start doing the same thing. That looks better. So I'm kind of making this one up here. I'm thinking of it like as an old lady, I think. She's kind of saggy and kind of crotchety and just hunched over, and who knows? Who knows what she's doing? Who knows where she's going? I think she's walking somewhere. I'm giving her a cane. Who knows? But this is just an example of, again, you decide which way your female torso is facing. If you were to flip the head around, it would look like it was facing the other direction. Here I'm writing some more notes. I can't see these from where I'm sitting. Oh, yeah, I'm talking about depending on where you choose to place the head, that'll turn your figure around completely. Again, this is before you draw the arms, before you draw the legs and all that. Um, but yeah, this lady's old. She's had a rough life. I'm doing another one here. I'm trying to see what we're doing next. Oh, I end up doing some more drawing. Just a couple more examples. So as you can see, like I started really simple, and then I'm going more complicated as we get along. So here, what I'm gonna do is see how I jutted out the hips just a little bit. Um, you don't really want to draw them perfectly straight. That first shape that I drew was just the basic shape. The hips are curved. The female body is got curves everywhere. Um, you don't really want to see too many straight lines on um, a female torso, especially. And again, don't draw most of the muscles. Don't draw them. Just leave them out. You can draw, like I said, you can draw some of the abs. You can draw some of the ribs, maybe. But if you're trying to get your female torso to look feminine, don't draw the muscles. It's just not realistic for most women. It's not realistic. Some women are bodybuilders, but most women look a lot more feminine and soft and curvier. So here I'm just doing an example of a little bit more detail, not really finished. Not This isn't really a finished drawing, but I'm just showing you. I'm going to draw the chest in a minute. We're going to get into more stuff here soon. Like, we're going to get into arms, we're going to get into legs, we're going to get into hands, we're going to everything. Noses, eyes, faces. Eyes, noses, and faces are actually coming a little bit later because I wanted to teach these really, really basic concepts first. This is a series of what I wish I knew when I started drawing. Like, this is how I would have wanted to maybe teach myself. If I knew all this stuff, like when I started, I would have started here. This is what this series is all about. This is where I would have started if I knew where I was supposed to start, which I didn't. So I struggled for a lot of years. So we're just making this figure a little bit nicer. Again, I don't end up drawing the arms or the legs or anything, but I'm just showing you a little bit more of a completed torso. Drew the breasts in, finishing the hips there, putting the arm across. Maybe she's holding her hip for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, just showing you what the torso looks like with the breasts on top of it. I'll do more of that in the female video, the female version of the chest video. We're gonna do a lot of that. To be honest, it's hard to get the breasts to look good. It's really difficult. So anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.